Hello, our dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of our program Africa Today. The Ministry of Health announced on Tuesday that the purchase of 12 scooter ambulances in order to better serve the patients living in very narrow streets so that the pandemic would reach them fast, provide first aid and then transport them to a vehicle. More details about the scooter for ambulances in that report.
Eco-friendly electric scooters joined the fleet of the Egyptian Ambulance Organization to respond to emergencies and provide first aid to injured people until the arrival of traditional ambulance vehicles. The news were announced by Acting Minister of Health Khaled Abdel Ghaffar on Tuesday. In a statement, the Health Ministry said that the ambulance scooters are the Ambulance Organization's latest service introduced to the public. It added that the high speed and small size of the scooters enable them to pass through narrow streets to provide aid to injured people. He noted that the ambulance scooters are equipped with first aid kits and will help the injured until the ambulance vehicles arrive. The ministry asserted that the electric scooter would go over 100 kilometers with a full battery charge and does not have any carbon emissions. The EAO chairman Mohamed said that the ambulance e-scooter launch meets the Egyptian state's relentless efforts to protect the environment, which is the target of the United Nations Climate Change Conference COP27, scheduled to be hosted in the Red Sea city of Sharm el-Sheikh this November.
Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli revealed that the government's plan to reduce and rationalize the energy and water consumption nationwide amid the global energy crisis. The government is rationalizing energy in order to save the natural gas to redirect it for the exporting and increase the country's sources of foreign currency during the global energy crisis. More details.
Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli revealed on Tuesday the government's plan to reduce and rationalize energy and water consumption nationwide amidst the global energy crisis. Madbouli said the government has a role in rationalizing energy in order to save natural gas to redirect it for exporting and increase the country's sources of foreign currency during the global energy crisis. The Prime Minister revealed part of the plan concerning energy and electricity consumption, which would be effective starting on Thursday. The plan includes applying the daylight saving time setting in mall, which are be closed at 11 p.m. local time, not to light the governmental buildings' facades at night, not to light the governmental buildings after the official working hours except for the service sectors, to reduce the lighting of the streets and squares, not to set central air conditioners less than 25 degrees in buildings as well as malls, to reduce the lighting of clubs, stadiums, and sports institutions, standardizing the energy-saving LED headlights in lighting all stadiums and in youth sports clubs. Madbouli said that it is unclear when the crisis would end, adding that citizens and governments have a role in rationalizing the use of energy.
To shed more light on that issue, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by Dr. Mohamed Roshdy, economic and banking expert and lecturer at Cairo University. Good afternoon to you, Dr. Mohamed.
Hello, good afternoon for you and our audience.
Thank you so much for being our guest for today. Sir, Prime Minister Madbouli announced yesterday measures to rationalize the country's consumption of both energy and water. How have you followed the press conference, sir?
First of all, I would like to start with a quote, famous quote, that success is the maximum utilization of the ability that you have. This means that we have to best utilize our resources. This will be our treasure, actually. In terms of, to apply on this question, actually, the government is rationalizing energy in order to save natural gas, to redirect it for exporting and increase Egypt's sources of foreign currency during global energy crisis, as you know, and our audience. This in addition to earlier that Minister of Housing, Asim al-Ghazar, revealed that his ministry was given directive to study a plan to rationalize energy and water consumption. Hours later, Egypt Prime Minister revealed part of this plan concerning the energy and electricity consumption, which should be effective starting on Thursday. I believe that the plan it has main pillars. If I would love to take you and our audience through this plan. Actually, applying the daily light saving time, sitting in malls, which are to be closed at 11 p.m. As you know, and our audience, the majority of the developed countries, they have cut-off time to close electricity, to close malls. This is one of the most crucial things to save energy and to have a sustainability in general, sustainable energy, and to replace it with sustainable resources. This is in addition to not to light the government buildings facades at night, not to light the government buildings after the official working hours, except for the service sectors, to reduce the lighting of the streets and squares, not to switch it off actually, but to decrease it, to give the proper light for people to drive and to walk. This is like the majority of the developed countries, as you know, and our audience. Also, not to set central air conditioners less than 25 degrees in buildings, as well as malls and public places, to reduce the lighting of clubs, stadiums, and sports institutions, standardizing the energy-saving LED headlights and lighting all the stadiums and in youth sports clubs. As you know, and our audience, those tactical things will be the main pillar to save energy.
Yes. So also a number of measures have been announced in the state's plan, including restoring the daylight saving time in malls in a bid to reduce the consumption of the electricity. What are your thoughts on this measure, and would it be effective from your point of view, Dr. Roshdy?
In my humble opinion, those measures will be an effective tool to best utilize our resources and to save energy and to achieve our goals concerning sustainability. Especially Egypt will host, as you know, and our audience will host the next sustainability conference in October, as far as I recall, COP27, and we have to take proactively actions to send for the globe that we are on the right track in this field. And as you know, and our audience, the new era for the world and our life will be to have a sustainable energy and to replace the old things like fuel and electricity with, for example, the solar energy, wind energy, a lot of things. And those precautions and those practical things that the government will take it will be a good tool, especially to face the global crisis, especially after Russian and Ukrainian crisis, and the race of the price of fuel products and energy and foods, everything.
Yes. Dr. Roshdy, how is the government dealing so far with the aftermath of the Russian-Ukrainian war as it tries to creatively find ways to deal with the crisis that has spilled into all over the globe, especially in the European states?
Actually, it was a global crisis for all countries. Unfortunately, the increase in prices of fuel and food, which lead to a global inflation, and let all the governments to focus more on two things: how to best utilize their resources in addition to cutting costs a little bit. And those are crucial things globally. The Egyptian government actually they have a great vision since the start of the crisis. In fact, as far as I recall, the state has called on Egyptian to rationalize consumption of strategic commodities to ease the foreign currency burden on the state, but has affirmed the availability of the basic commodities until the end of the year. And this is one of the most important things. This is in addition to, in June, Egypt Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli urged Egyptians to rationalize their consumption in the global food crisis, noting that this would enable the state to provide all needs and keep commodity reserve unaffected. This is in addition, Egypt, which is one of world's most water scarce countries, has also set a plan to rationalize water consumption and improve water quality through a strategy that runs until 2050 at a cost of up to Egypt 900 billion, as far as I recall, Egyptian pound. That's one of the most important things. This is in addition to one of the crucial things, as you know, and our audience, the price of oil barrel, which was, as far as I recall, in 2021, May 2021, reached to $67. I believe it in May 2022 it reached to $120. Can you imagine the increase? And here in Egypt, the government took a tactical action to little bit cope with this increase, and they budgeted, as far as I recall, that the Prime Minister highlighted previously in his conference that concerning how Egypt will face the global inflation crisis and the Ukrainian and Russian war, that we budgeted around 130 billion Egyptian pound to face this, to support a little bit the fuel, in addition to support the food, which is the main source of it, which is the wheat.
Yes.
And as far as I recall, the wheat ton reached to $435 per ton, while it was 235 in May 2021. Can you imagine the increase? And we are not affected 100% with this increase.
Yes.
Still, the government is supporting this for the Egyptian people. This is one of the most important things and tactical actions that the governments are actually took it to help the Egyptian nation and to support the economy.
Sir, actually the state plans to save the energy consumption domestically, to redirect the excess gas for export and to increase the foreign reserve. How much is this plan expected to save money for the country from your point of view?
Actually, the Prime Minister said that the country has about, as far as I recall, 25% surplus in electricity ready for export. Actually, the Egyptian state is currently working on investing in the most important resource. It's currently process, which is natural gas, being an asset that has received huge investment over the past period. Therefore, Egypt has tended to provide the largest amount of gas to be exported abroad and obtain foreign exchange. In light of the global crisis, the countries of the world are going through, especially the energy crisis that has affected various countries of the world. In this context, Egypt is currently working to increase its capabilities to the extent that it can export the most significant amount of gas, which requires the government to start implementing a national plan to rationalize electricity consumption in order to achieve the state goals in saving portion of the gas used in power stations, for example, in an effort to export it and increase foreign exchange resources.
Yeah.
And actually, over 60% of Egypt's natural gas production goes to power stations to generate electricity power that will be used in all aspects of citizens. Those things will, if we do it in an effective and efficient way, and rationalizing the quantities of the natural gas that serve the power stations will mean more opportunities to export a more significant portion of natural gas, thus bringing in more foreign currency. And this will be the key to get more foreign currency and decrease the demand on our foreign currency reserve that reaches, as far as I recall, according to the latest CBE report, Central Bank of Egypt report, it reached to around $33 billion after the crisis.
Yes, Dr. Mohamed Roshdy, our economic and banking expert and lecturer at Cairo University. Thank you very much for your precious input. And our dear viewers, we'll go to a short break, and after that we'll be back with the last item we have in our program today, so stay tuned.
نحن لدينا مصير مشترك.
مصر تسلمت الرئاسة الدورية للاتحاد الإفريقي لعام 2019 وتتطلع كعادتها دوما للتعبير عن شواغل الشعوب الإفريقية الشقيقة الرامية لتحقيق الاستقرار والتقدم ودفع عجلة التنمية قدما. إذا كنتم ترغبون في تغيير وجه القارة الأفريقية، فالاتحاد الإفريقي كقيادة تستطيع أن تعمل وتدرس بشكل مركزي لمشروع عملاق لبناء بنية أساسية على مستوى القارة. أنا أتصور أن الأمن والاستقرار استثمار. إذا لم تستقر هذه القارة والأمن فيها بمعدلاته عالية، هذا الأمر سينعكس بالسلب علينا كلنا.
Well, our dear viewers, we wrap up our program with this feature story from the Horn of Africa with Nahla Ibrahim.
In the Dust Bowl of Kenya's drought-stricken north, the people of Purapole are edging closer to starvation, surviving on nothing but wild berries. It hasn't rained properly in 3 years, and there is simply nothing else to eat. At least 18 million people across the Horn of Africa are facing severe hunger as the worst drought in 40 years devastates the region. Over 4 million are in Kenya's north, a number that has climbed steadily this year as the crisis struggles to attract national attention in the midst of elections. Kenyan government figures indicate that nearly 950,000 children under 5 years and 134,000 pregnant and breastfeeding women in Kenya's remote arid region are acutely malnourished and need aid. 4 consecutive failed rainy seasons made worse by changing climate have created the driest conditions since the 1980s. Rivers and wells have run dry, and grazing land has turned to dust, sparing the death of more than 1.5 million livestock in Kenya alone. The two main presidential rivals, William Ruto and Raila Odinga, have helicoptered into drought-affected regions, promising infrastructure and development in brief campaign stops. At the same time, the cost of delivering aid has jumped as the war in Ukraine drives up food and fuel prices.
Our dear viewers, with that feature story, we come to the end of our program for today. I'm Mahisi Rabia. Many thanks for watching.